रह गई सर 2 से 3 छोटी चीज़ें, फटाफट देख लीजिए. When parties claim same symbol. The stage is set for yet another battle over a political party symbol. On Monday, the Uddhav Thackeray-led Shiv Sena approached the Election Commission of India requesting it to hear its side before deciding claims to the party's bow arrow symbol. The Shiv Sena has lost a large number of members in the Eknath Shinde-led rebellion that eventually caused the fall of the Thackeray-led government in Maharashtra. The Thackeray camp approaching the EC was a preemptive move since the dispute hasn't yet officially reached the EC's doorstep. Acha. Shinde, who has claimed to be the original Shiv Sena on the basis of the support of more than two-thirds of the party's legislators in the Maharashtra Assembly, has not officially written to the EC yet to stake claim to the party symbol. Shana nikla hai. We have filed a caveat with the ECI requesting it to make the original Shiv Sena, led by Uddhav Thackeray, a party to the case if any party or group approaches the ECI with regard to any matter related to Shiv Sena, MP and Desai said. If and when the Shinde camp approaches the EC, the latter will in all likelihood freeze the symbol so that neither of the two sides is able to use it until a final decision is made. EC के पास में ये पावर्स हैं. आर्टिकल नंबर 324 पढ़िएगा, और सुप्रीम कोर्ट की उसके ऊपर जो कमेंट है वो भी पढ़िएगा. अकॉर्डिंग टू इट, लाइक दिस इज लाइक आर्टिकल 324 gives the Election Commission of India plenary powers. Plenary meaning प्लेनेरिया होता है ना, प्लेनेरिया एक छोटा सा होता है, कहीं पढ़ा होगा बायोलॉजी की किताब में 10वीं 11वीं 12वीं में, कि एक काटो 2 बन जाते हैं, फिर 2 काटो तो 4 बन जाते हैं, काटते जाओ वो बनते जाते हैं, वो अपने आप जो कट के भी बनते रहते हैं. मतलब वो उस तरह का नेचर. प्लेनरी पावर्स, समझ रहे हैं, रिजर्वायर ऑफ पावर है ये. सो कर सकता है सिंबल, दे सकता है सिंबल, ले सकता है सिंबल, फ्रीज कर सकता है. इसी करने के काम नहीं कर सकता, बस MCC नहीं लगा सकता, मॉडल कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट, मतलब पूरे फोर्स के साथ. EC hearings are long and detailed and may take at least 6 months. How does it decide who gets the symbol? Often the very identity of a party and its fundamental connection with the voters when parties split. What are the EC's powers in such a dispute? On the question of a split in political party outside the legislature, sir, para 15 of the Symbols Order 1968 states, when the Election Commission is satisfied that there are rival sections or groups of a recognized political party, each of whom claims to be that party, the Commission may, after taking into account all the available facts and circumstances of the case and hearing representatives and other persons as desired to be heard, decide that one such rival section or group or none of such rival sections or groups is that recognized political party. And the decision of the commission shall be binding on all such rival sections or groups. मतलब ये वही कर सकता है कि सच में वो सिंबल पुराने को मिलेगा कि नए को मिलेगा कि किसी को भी नहीं मिलेगा, भाड़ में जाओ सब. This applies to disputes in recognized national and state parties. Go fast, check it out. Recognized कौन सी होती है, registered कौन सी होती है, and under which act is that Election Commission has got the power. There is an act also. खाली आर्टिकल से कुछ नहीं होता. For splits in registered but unrecognized parties, the EC usually advises the warring factions to resolve their differences internally or to approach the court. अच्छा खाली registered के लिए वो, लेकिन recognized के लिए इसी के हाथ में है. And how did the EC deal with such matters before the symbols order came into effect? Before 1968, the EC issued notifications and executive orders under the Conduct of Election Rules 1961. The most high-profile split of a party before 1968 was that of the Communist Party of India in 1964. A breakaway group approached the EC in December 1964, urging it to recognize it as CPI Marxist. They provided a list of MPs and MLAs of Andhra Pradesh, Kerala and West Bengal who supported them. The ECI recognized the faction as CPI-M after it found that the votes secured by the MPs and MLAs supporting the breakaway group added up to more than 4% in these states. मतलब उनका लॉजिक उन्होंने लगाया है, लेकिन उनको देने की ज़रूरत है नहीं, पावर उनकी है. It was the first case decided under the Para 15 of 1968 order. It was first split in the Indian National Congress in 1969. Then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi's tensions with a rival group within the party came to a head the death of President Dr. Zakir Hussain on May 3, 1969. The Congress Old Guard, led by K. Kamraj, Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy, S. Nijalingappa, and Atulya Ghosh, known as the Syndicate, nominated Reddy for the post. Indira Gandhi encouraged Vice President V.V. Giri to contest as an independent and called for a conscience vote in defiance of the whip issued by party president Nijalingappa. ये लोग जो सिंडिकेट थे, जो होल एंड सोल्स हुआ करते थे एट दैट टाइम व्हेन नेहरू जी डाइड एंड इंदिरा गांधी वाज नॉट सो मच पावरफुल, ये लोग डिसाइड करते थे कौन बैठेगा करके. तो दे वर एक्चुअली नॉट वांटिंग इंदिरा गांधी टू बी नेक्स्ट, बट इंदिरा गांधी हैड टेस्टेड अ लिटिल नमक, इश्क का नहीं, नमक पावर का. तो शी वाज लाइक, उसने वीवी गिरी जी को खड़ा कर दिया, उन्होंने मतलब वीवी गिरी जी को खड़ा कर दिया लाइक दैट. तो कुछ हो गया. तो फिर ये पहली बार ऐसा स्प्लिट आया था कि after Giri won, Indira was expelled from the Congress and the party split into the old Congress led by Nijalingappa and the new Congress led by Indira Gandhi. The old Congress retained the party symbol of a pair of bullocks carrying a yoke. The breakaway faction was given the symbol of a cow with a calf. Okay. Is there a way other than the test of majority to resolve a dispute over election symbols? In almost all disputes decided by the EC so far, a clear majority of party delegates, officer bearers, MPs, MLAs have supported one of the factions. Whenever the EC could not test the strength of rival groups based on support within the party organization, because the disputes regarding the list of office bearers, it fell back on testing the majority only among elected MPs and MLAs. जैसा कि अभी इन्होंने इस केस में किया था पिछले वाले में, CPIM वाले में. Only in the case of the split in the AIADMK in 1987, which happened after the death of MG Ramachandran, was the EC faced with a peculiar situation. The group led by MGR's wife Janaki had the support of the majority of MPs and MLAs, while J. Jayalalitha was supported by a substantial majority in the party organization. But before the EC was forced to make a decision on which group should retain the party symbol, a rapprochement was reached. मतलब वहीं पे ही मांडवली हो गई. What happens to the group that doesn't get the parent party symbol? In the case of the first Congress split, the EC recognized both the Congress O and the breakaway faction whose president was Jagjeevan Ram. The Congress O had a substantial presence in some states and satisfied the criteria fixed for recognition of parties under para 6 and 7 of the symbols order. ये ध्यान रख लेना, बार बार आया सिंबल ऑर्डर सिंबल ऑर्डर सिंबल ऑर्डर, इसी के अंडर करते हैं वो ये काम आजकल. This principle was followed up to 1997. However, things changed when the Election Commission dealt with the cases of splits in the Indian National Congress and Janata Dal. The disputes led to the creation of Himachal Vikas Congress, Manipur State Congress Party, West Bengal Trinamool Congress, Rashtriya Janata Dal, Biju Janata Dal, etc. The EC then did not recognize the new parties as either state or national parties. It felt that merely having MPs and MLAs is not enough, as the elected representatives had fought and won polls on tickets of their parent parties. The EC introduced a new rule under which the splinter group of the party, other than the group that got the party symbol, had to register itself as a separate party and could lay claim to national or state party status only on the basis of its performance in state or central elections after registration. जीरो से शुरू करो, सही गल है, तभी तो वो लोग लड़ रहे हैं. New IT Act looks to regulate New IT Act looks to regulate deliberate misinformation. Recognizing that offences in the online world, including social media platforms, can be unique with no equivalent in the offline world, the Ministry of Electronics and IT is considering regulation of deliberate misinformation and doxing as offences under a fresh legislation which is expected to replace the Information Technology Act 2000, a senior government official said. मतलब हाँ ओके, IT Act, Income Tax Act, oh sorry, oh. The new law is also expected to have provisions to ensure net neutrality, data privacy, and algorithmic accountability of social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. It is learnt. The new legislation, being referred to as the Digital India Act within the government, is expected to have a focus on user harms specific to the online world, which have diversified significantly since the IT Act was last amended in 2008, the official said. For instance, currently under Indian laws, online misinformation is not illegal, he said. The Act is currently India's core legal framework that regulates entities on the internet, such as social media platforms and e commerce companies. The Indian Penal Code IPC looks at misinformation from the lens of defamation. Ah, beyond that, there is no adjudication on deliberate attempts at misinformation, and the ministry is having a discussion to include it as an offense under the new act, the official said. मतलब अभी तक मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन के नाम पे हमारे लीगल फ्रेमवर्क में खाली एक ही शब्द है, वो है डिफेमेशन, जो कि एक पर्टिकुलर इंडिविजुअल या कंपनी या फिर ग्रुप के खिलाफ हो सकता है कि भाई इसने हमारी बेइज्जती कर दी, मैडम इसने मेरे को ऐसे कहा। जबकि मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन जो कि आज मेजर बेसिस है सारे डिसरप्शन का, इलेक्शंस का, डेमोक्रेसी का, इंटरनेशनल पॉलिटिक्स का, वो अभी हमने उस बारे में बात ही नहीं करी है। मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन यानी मैंने कुछ भी बोल दिया यार, असम में फ्लड्स आ गई, मुसलमान लेकर के आए थे, अब किसी एक पर्टिकुलर को डिफेम करूं चाहे ना करूं, यहाँ तो चलो मैंने मुसलमान का नाम ले दिया, मैं और थोड़ा सा ऐसा सटल तरीके से आपको एक सर्टेन प्रोपेगेंडा आपके दिमाग में फिट करने की कोशिश में कुछ झूठ बोल दूं, उससे बहुत ज़्यादा इन्फ्लुएंस हो लोग बाग, तो वो गलत है ना। And the ministry is having discussion to include it as an offense under the new act. The official said the deliberate online misinformation has to be separated from defamation, which is a very different kind of an offense. The IT ministry is also learned to be considering adding doxing as an offense under the new act. Doxing is essentially an attempt by a person to publish private or identifying information about a particular individual on the internet, typically with malicious intent. जैसा कि अभी वो टेलर साहब के साथ हुआ जिनको उदयपुर में काटा गया, मतलब उनको काटने से पहले शायद जो उनके कातिल थे उन तक बात पहुंची कैसे, वो व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप्स के थ्रू उनकी पर्सनल इन्फॉर्मेशन लीक करके। While no timeline to finalize the law has been fixed so far, the ministry is learned to have prepared a draft layout of the legislation. The new act will deal with regulating new and emerging tech like blockchain and artificial intelligence. Under the current IT Act, offences are largely borrowed from the offline world, as it penalizes actions like publishing private pictures of people without consent, posting pornographic content, and sharing child sexual abuse material, among other things. One of the earlier offences which penalized people for sending offensive messages under the famous Section 66A of the Act was struck down by the Supreme Court in landmark judgment in 2015. Social media platforms' algorithms have also helped individuals in running concerted misinformation campaigns, unlike the official said. Today, people who use social media have become sophisticated, as have the platforms themselves. Often, their algorithms are designed in a way that they amplify certain types of content that end up helping people who want to deliberately spread misinformation. That has to be tackled, the official said. There is clear evidence globally of concerted efforts at running misinformation campaigns on social media with an aim to influence elections, for instance. यार एक ये भी तरीका है, पता है, ये सोशल मीडिया के डिमेरिट से बचने का। अब आपको पता ही है एल्गोरिथम्स कैसे काम करते हैं, बॉट्स कैसे होते हैं, आपकी प्रेफरेंस, आप गलती से ऐसे ही घूमते घूमते कहीं फ़ोन आपका बड़ा सुन रहा है, आप यूँ बोल दो कि शूज़, मुझे शूज़ लेने हैं, फिर आप देखो आप जहाँ जाओ आपको शूज़ का एडवर्टीज़मेंट है, अमेज़न, फ्लिपकार्ट, सब आपको शूज़ बेच रहे हैं। तो इतनी बुरी टारगेटिंग जब ये कर सकते हैं तो यार ये आपके विचारों की, आपकी ओपिनियन की तो और ज़्यादा सटल तरीके से, क्योंकि वो ऐसी चीज़ है ना कि हम आज के टाइम पे स्पेशली उस पर ध्यान देते नहीं। हम अपने कपड़ों पे, खान पीन पे, गाड़ी घोड़े पे बहुत ध्यान देते हैं, लेकिन हमारे विचार, हमारे ओपिनियंस, उन पे हम वो ऐसे ही इसको देखा इसके साथ, उसको देखा उसके साथ. तो it is very easy to target them and keep, providing you with the same shit every time, and to, then finally, turn into a certain direction which is, of course, not at least in your favor, किसी के भी हो. तो आप क्या करें, ये प्रिंट मीडिया नाम की जो चीज़ है ना, अखबार, अब ये क्या है, दुनिया के लिए छपा है. मान लो प्रोपागेंडा भी चल रहा होगा ना, तो एक बड़े ग्रुप के लिए चल रहा होगा. आपके लिए अलग से तो निकाला नहीं जाता है कि भाई सोनू के लिए इंडियन एक्सप्रेस का एडिशन है, उसके अंदर सोनू को जो जो पसंद है चीज़ें वही डाल करके और उसको बेवकूफ़ बना करके और उसको हम बना देंगे हिंदुत्व या जमात. ठीक है, इसीलिए प्रिंट मीडिया नेसेसरी है. There is clear evidence globally of concerted efforts at running misinformation campaigns on social media with an aim to influence elections. For instance, Minister of State for Electronics and IT Rajiv Chandrasekhar had said last month, "Where we are today is, my opinion, a mezzanine stage of where we are in the evolution of our jurisprudence, rules, and laws. Very soon we will have an absolutely contemporary law and act which will take care of a lot of these issues. IT Act is a 22-year-old act, and therefore we are bolting on, retrofitting, band-aiding to get a safer internet, and we need a new contemporary law, and we are working on that." Grato. बाकी कुछ खास नहीं है, ये मेंस में जाने वाले फिगर्स देख लीजिएगा और कौन निकालता है वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक फोरम. बस बस इतना बहुत है. जय भवानी.